Hey, welcome to another Flare Court Media camera evaluation thing. I'm Jason, and today I am out in the freezing cold. It's currently 12 degrees Fahrenheit or minus 11 degrees Celsius with a wind chill of minus 1 degree Fahrenheit or minus 21 degrees Celsius. And my dog's barking because she can hear me. And I'm out here because I have one question. What's the best camera to use when you are out running? Let's say you're a vlogger who does exercise things. What's going to give you the best quality looking video? So today I have the GoPro 9, which I'm holding right now, as one of the options. I also have the GoPro MAX as another option. In this pocket I have the DJI Osmo Pocket gimbal camera. Why am I using this one and not the brand new one? Well, it's because I'm not sure how bad running is on a gimbal, and I don't want to risk my nicer Pocket 2 for this test. So I'm going to use the older one. Quality should be this pretty dang close to the same. And finally, of course, you're going to have your phone. I am not using a microphone, a wireless microphone, because when you're out exercising and racing, a marathon, whatever, you're not going to want a microphone up here getting sweaty, bouncing around, all of that stuff. So what I'm looking for in this test, I gotta switch arms, is one, how much shaking there is as I hold the camera. Two, how easy it is to show what's going on around you. And three, how good the quality sounds as you're running. Now, like I said, it's a pretty windy day, so we might be getting some wind picked up on these. I'm going to have all of the boost modes activated, whatever I can, for stabilization on all these cameras. And I'm going to have wind noise turn-off-y settings also activated for all of these to use as many features that the camera has to offer to get the most watchable video. With all that said, there's nothing left to do but go jogging, and we'll just kind of switch between all the cameras as I go, and at the end look to see which one gives the best results. But you obviously will be evaluating them. I'll watch them when I'm done and give you my final verdict as well. It may match what you think. I may come up with a different idea. Anyway, I'm delaying. It's cold. Let's go. All right, so I am using the GoPro Hero 9. One thing to keep in mind is don't necessarily compare the picture quality. I mean, yes, do that, but the lighting is going to change. I'm going to be facing into the sun at some point. I'm going to be facing away from it. So that's going to be really hard to evaluate fairly unless I run up and down the same stretch, but the sun is also setting soon. So the lighting's going to change. Like I said, we're just evaluating how steady this shot is and the microphone, and then also how easy it is to show around. So as I said, this is the GoPro Hero 9. I'm using the GoPro Shorty stick to hold this camera on. I'll be using that for the GoPro Max as well. And then for my phone, I'll just hold it like normal. And then for the DJI Osmo Pocket, I will also hold that all by itself without a stick. But I think this is probably long enough for you to get a feel on how jittery this is. Here's how easy it is to show what's going on around me. Just spin it around and, oh, look at that. Look at that thing. There's the dog up here I'm going to have to dodge, etc. So that wasn't too bad. I do have the stick a little tilted, so I have to, like, this is straight up. You know, I put it in selfie mode, so. I wanted to get one more with the GoPro running into the wind, because earlier I was running with the wind, so that wasn't really fair. So now you can hear what it sounds like running into the wind. Again, this is a super strong wind with cars driving by. That should have been a good test right there. Anyway, let's switch to the GoPro Hero Max next. Okay, I'm definitely running into the sun now, so my face should be well lit up. But this is the GoPro MAX 360 camera. Obviously I do have it in 360 mode because that's kind of the whole point of using a 360 camera. So you can go back later and adjust the stabilization, hopefully in post-processing, as well as, sorry, there's some cars. You can go back and adjust the stabilization in post-processing, as well as look around at other things. So honestly, that's one of the reasons I wanted to check out a 360 camera, because if you are in a race or doing something really interesting, running, and be like, look at that, now I have to flip the camera around. So if I were to have tripped at that moment, I would have that captured, as well as the thing I saying, look at that over there. So you're capturing everything all at once. But the question is, how good is the stabilization? Now I have, by the time you're watching this, edited it in my phone or computer and made it look as good as I can. And we'll see how good GoPro's free stabilization software is. I'm not paying the $99 for the luxury stabilization package. But then also I am running into the wind, so be listening for that. I do have the wind boost on, and so it won't be recording in 360 audio when it's on, but it should be cutting down a lot on the loud windy booms. God, it's cold. Okay, I think that's probably enough for this camera. Let's switch over to the DJI Osmo Pocket. Well, this is an unforeseen problem. It's so cold, the gimbal is frozen. Gimbal protected. When I touch it, it's like, it's definitely frozen. So, yeah, maybe I'll have to try this indoors. Okay, so I'm on to my Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra, right into the wind. The DJI Osmo Pocket was a bust. The gimbal actually froze. This, I'm not so sure about. I am running directly into the wind. There is no wind microphone setting, so the audio may be crap. The other problem with the phone is that you have to take a hand off, a glove off, to touch the screen. The dedicated cameras have actual physical buttons, and so that makes it easy to use with gloves. I am using the front-facing camera, the selfie camera right now, so if I wanted to say, hey, look at that. As I was saying, it's a little more difficult to use a phone. Plus, it's unwieldy. You can easily drop it. But if I wanted to say, look at that, I'm using my
1025.
I'm around a mile. If I want to say, look at that, and I'm using the selfie camera, I have to here and hit this. And that is terrible because it does not activate the boost mode. So let me try this all again with boost mode and use the rear camera. Okay, so now I have stabilization boost turned on, but I'm using the rear camera, so I can't see if I'm in frame or not, but the shaking should be reduced dramatically. But again, this is a little unwieldy to run with because I'm just holding a phone out. If I want to say, hey, look at that, I have to flip it all the way around. I mean, you could use a selfie stick, but you're running. You're in a race, you're doing something. You shouldn't be carrying around a heavy selfie stick. But I gotta say, it's probably a lot more stable. But again, you gotta take your glove off. My hand is frozen. So, I think that's enough for this test. Let's go inside, try out the DJI Osmo Pocket running in place, and just see how the gimbal handles the jumping, the bouncing. All right, that's 3 miles done. Let's get inside and warm up, because it's freaking cold. Oh. Okay, so I was being a little unfair to the DJI gimbal line because I was using one that's not even for sale anymore. So I have switched over to the Osmo Pocket 2, or whatever they call it now. It's the newest model of their gimbal. It does have wind noise reduction, same frame rate, all of that stuff. And currently the gimbal is working. So just go ahead and jog up and down the street real fast so we can get a feel for how a gimbal with noise reduction is going to perform. So the nice thing about this is, yes, it's a gimbal, so it's mechanically removing shake compared to digitally removing shake. You can also easily flip it around to say, hey, look at that thing up there, and then flip it back to point at yourself. It does have a nice long handle if you buy the wireless attachment, so it's convenient to hold on to. You don't need an extra stick. But yeah, I am curious how this noise reduction is, because I'm running directly into the wind, and how the shaking is. Have it set to follow mode, so it should just kind of be trying to hold steady as best it can. I guess one more test, just to again show what it looks like to point things around. Now you could put this in different modes, FPV mode, follow mode, whatever. Right now, like I said, I have it in follow, so it's attempting to minimize all shakes, but FPV mode is normally how I use it. So there, I'm going to go edit these and review the footage myself, and then we'll get back together and conclude this and determine which we like best. I'm all showered and warmed up, and I've had a chance to look at the footage myself now. Obviously, you've already seen it as I was recording it, but I have made my choices. And probably to no one's surprise, my #1 pick for a running camera is going to be a GoPro, the Hero 9 in this case, but the 7, 8, 9, or 10, they're all going to probably give you a wonderful looking shot. It's no surprise, because that's what GoPro does. They make cameras that are great for sports and action. The stabilization on this looked really good. The wind noise was tolerable. It was a little boomy. I didn't have in-ear headphones on when I was listening to it, so it may have been extra boomy if you had those, but just using my normal speakers, it sounded great. You were able to hear my voice. The picture and sound straight out of the camera with no editing was really nice on this. Coming in second though, and pretty close behind it, is obviously yet another GoPro product, but this one has some more tricks up its sleeve. One, the sound was pretty good. I mean, it's got a big microphone here, so it did compensate for the sound almost as well as this. This one's a newer model than this, so I'd expect this one to be a little bit better, and probably the Hero 10 is going to be even better. So the sound was adequate, and the nice thing about this is, obviously, it's a 360 camera. As I said, you can see in all directions all at once. It's so much fun afterwards to put the footage on your phone and go and reframe and go look at this and look at this. Just reframe your shot as you're going. You can even use your phone as like a viewfinder and reshoot it without using the keyframes. You can just literally reshoot it and look around, and it will record all of those motions and create a new video for you. And so that is so much fun to just be able to kind of go back and relive the place you were. If you're running in a place that's really cool, mountains or forest, or you're in a race and there's neat stuff to see. This has a lot of potential. A couple downsides though is it does give you a little bit of a fisheye look. This one obviously gives you a nice, you can change the lens angle. I left it on wide, but this gives you a nice shot right out. And while I was editing this on my phone, I thought I was editing it to make it look pretty normal. But once I watched them side by side, one after the other, I noticed how much fisheye I left in the footage of this one while I was editing it. A little bit of it was intentional when I pull the camera to the side and let you see me running on the sidewalk and stuff. Some of that was my artistic choice. But when I was just trying to focus on my face, myself, I did leave a little more fisheye in than I probably would have if I had thought about it a bit more. The other problem with this is the fact that while it does record in 5K, that's 5K out of both cameras. I think it's 5K. Don't quote me on that, might be 4K, but it requires both cameras to get that. And so if you're only looking through one lens as you're reframing, you are not getting the full 4 or 5K, whereas with this one you are. You're limited to half of that, which is coming out of one lens. And so when you edit it, you're only able to export at 1080p on iOS or Android. And that's just the nature of the fact that you're reframing it and you can't pull 4K from just one lens. And so that is a little bummer. And so when you start to zoom in, you can end up accidentally zooming in too much and it gets kind of blurry. Whereas this one, you know, you got a lot more resolution to play with after the fact. I'm really looking forward to if they come out with a higher quality version of this. I think it would definitely be possibly my first choice. Also, the stabilization on this was excellent. I didn't have to do anything. I just had to click a little button that said level the horizon and it took care of everything for me. So if you want something fun to play with and want to be able to record in all directions all at once, you might consider the GoPro MAX. The other nice thing is you can just put it into GoPro mode where you only record out of one lens and you're basically treating it just like a GoPro. Yes, it is still 1080p out of that one lens, but it takes care of the fisheye for you because it's just treating it like a GoPro. So that's my number 2 choice. My number 3 choice is going to be the DJI Pocket 2. Now, I had higher hopes for this because it's a gimbal and it has 1, 2, I always forget them, 1, 2, 3 axes of rotation to compensate for the running. But the problem is it doesn't compensate for this motion. Whereas with these, they have the ability to take a bigger image and then digitally zoom in and adjust the shake for you. This, it can't adjust the gimbal side to side. All it can do is kind of rotate and try to reduce the shaking. So while I was running past the houses, I did see the horizon and the houses kind of moving a little bit like this, and it was a little distracting. Now, if they come out in the Osmo Pocket 3 with a 5K sensor and let you do digital stabilization on top of the mechanical stabilization, this is going to become a real contender. Obviously, it's not as robust or rugged as these, and the original one, the gimbal did freeze up. It is a little older, and it was really cold. I don't know what the rated temperature was, but we were probably past it. So anyway, these are a lot of fun. I use them a lot for vlogging, and if you have one, you're going to do okay, but it is not going to compensate for that side to side very well. And lastly is going to be the phone. And some of you may be upset by this, but it's just, it's too unwieldy. Now this is the Note 20 Ultra, so it does have a very, very sharp profile. I do have a sharp case on it as well with the curved glass, so it's not that easy to hold on to. It's a very slim edge. But one of the problems with it is, let me turn it on, as I was kind of saying, if you're recording it in one hand, here's your controls over here, and then this hand gets tired, you know, you're recording yourself, this hand gets tired, so you want to switch. Well, now your hand's in the way, so you gotta kind of dodge that. And now here's the problem. My controls are on the wrong side, and that's what happened in the video after the first cut, was I realized, oh, I can't hit the rotate button because it's on the wrong side and I had switched hands. You can't just flip it around either to get them on that side, because while you're recording, it doesn't auto flip, so your video gets upside down. Another issue is the fact that the front-facing camera has no stabilization, at least on this phone and probably most phones. And so there's no stabilization when you're recording with the front. And when you flip it to the back, as I showed you in the video, even though I had image stabilization turned on, the boost mode turned on, it doesn't get activated when you flip it in the middle of recording after you have looked at the front selfie camera. The only way to get that digital boost is to record from the back camera only, in which case that's when I was kind of doing this type of thing. And you know, it's a little dangerous, you know, you don't want to drop your phone, and if you want to point at something in front of you, well, you have to come around and do this type of maneuver and then come back like this, and that's a lot more challenging and risky if you're sweating and bouncing than just something as simple as this motion here. You know, and so that's kind of why I would highly recommend not using your phone. Now, if you are recording a vertical video, it's a little easier because, you know, your thumb is down here. Your thumb's not going to change if you switch sides, but I don't record vertical video. I don't record for Instagram. I record for YouTube, and so I do horizontal video. Now, on that note, you can record vertical video with the GoPro. If you do this, if you turn on the rotation feature, it'll record vertically, which then you can export for Instagram or something like that if you like the vertical video. I do not. Same thing with this. When you're re-editing it in post, you can turn your viewfinder vertical and export a vertical video from this as well. This one, you cannot do that on. But that is my rundown. As I always say, the best camera is the one you actually have. And so if you only have one camera, which is probably your phone, use it. That's better than nothing. But if you do have the luxury of picking more than one camera, I would probably look for a GoPro. Or, you know, like I said, if you want to have a little bit more fun, a little more artistic license, you're going to have a lot of fun with the Hero Max as well. If you do want to pick up one of these cameras, I'd appreciate it if you use my affiliated link in the video description down below. I'm going to have links to all of these. Using it doesn't cost you a single penny more. I just get a little kickback by you using my link, and it helps support this channel. If you use the link and decide to browse and find a different camera or something else, that's fine. I still get credit if you have originally clicked on my link. And so I really appreciate that, as it allows me to keep making these videos. Anyway, that's going to do it for this episode. If you appreciated the information in it, please consider giving it a thumbs up. It's going to help other people find my video when they're looking for this type of thing. And while you're at it, hit the subscribe button down there. That way you get notified whenever I release more content creator focused videos. But until next time, I'm doing what I love. Keep doing what you love. Thanks for watching.